Hello, my name is Bila Taudi, and I am a student at Barcelona Executive Business School. I am currently studying an MBA, a Master in Business Administration in Talent Acquisition and Talent Management, or Talent Management and Acquisition. Today, I will be working on a case study for our course in Ethics Management. The case study is going to discuss the change management in an organization called France Telecom. Today, it's actually known as Orange. France Telecom underwent a tremendous amount of changes and restructuring in the organization. And today we are going to discuss how all those changes and restructuring affected the organization in the short term and in the long term. Before we do so, let me give you a little bit of a historic overview of France Telecom. France Telecom began as a government entity at the time. They provided telecommunication services for the whole country of France before it became it underwent a privatization of the organization. Throughout the article, you will notice that France Telecom was actually under four different leadership. However, we will discuss three major leaderships in which he actually was part, which actually affected the organization in the short run and also in the long run. The very first person we are going to discuss here, who had a very, very strong impact on the organization, is Michel Bon. Under Michel Bon, the organization was able to reach its highest peak ever. Under him, they were able to earn their first $29 billion. And through him, they maintained competitiveness. They maintained competitiveness of the telecom industry. The second person we are going to discuss is Thierry Breton. Thierry Breton came in with a plan. However, he started making some adjustments, some changes that did not work well with the organization. The acquisition of Vodafone, for instance, which was rushed just because there was a competition rising. He also wanted to be at the top and maintain a monopoly of the telecom industry in France. Again, you have to understand that there are competitors rising in the United States, Germany, and many other countries who are neighboring France. So to stay at the top, Thierry Breton decided to acquire Vodafone and also increase the workforce of the organization. Okay, so they had to pay a lot more for wages, pensions, and all different aspects of maintaining staff or employees, right? The third person we are going to discuss about here is Didier Lombard. Didier Lombard actually was somebody who he came into the organization and he wanted to accomplish what his predecessors were actually accomplishing as well. They wanted to cut budgets, they wanted to reduce spending, they wanted to maximize their earnings. Although they were able to do so over a long period of time, there was a time when there were no more jobs available for anyone. They were not able to hire more people, so they had to go into a hire freeze. And during that period of a hire freeze, they realized that they were actually overspending. They were pretty much paying for employees to just stay at the organization and do nothing, right? So people actually were being hired and were guaranteed to have a pension, a really good career within the organization. But Didier Lombard was someone that said, this is not happening. We need to make sure that the financial success of the organization is put forward first. So he ended up doing a bunch of budget cuts, and also decided to restructure the organization. There was a lot of micromanagement involved. There were um, a lot of shifting within the organization. They can be transferred to another location, and they had to transfer. Otherwise, they had no choice than to leave the company. So people were being forced out of the organization by any means necessary or possible. The employees who worked for France Telecom became depressed, suicidal, and their work-life balance was tremendously affected. Came up with six different recommendations for that would have helped France Telecom at the time in smoothly transitioning from the old way of conducting business to a new way of conducting business. So here are the recommendations that I have for you. Involvement and engagement. It is very important to be able to engage and involve your stakeholders in the decision making of when you are planning on changing anything that will affect them and will affect their day to day in the workplace. Doing so allows them to feel part of the organization. It gives them more value in the organization. Two, being transparent with the communication. Now, once you have established your strategy and you have discussed the new strategy you are planning to put into place, it is important that you communicate effectively with your stakeholders about how you are planning to implement this and how. Number three, we talked about Dr. John Cotter's eight-step process to implement the framework of change management, and we'll review that in just a second. Number four, behavioral change plan, right? A behavioral change plan is very important. So why do I bring that up? Undergoing a change in structure within an organization requires also a change in behavior from the stakeholders. And it's very important to have a great and strong plan in place to be able to implement that change. Last but not least, you have to be able to measure the metrics. Monitor those metrics and then measure them. How do you know if the changes that have been implemented are actually benefiting the organization? That has to be tracked, monitored, and measured. So those are the recommendations that I have for the organization, because they did not do a great job at making sure that those metrics were met properly. As I've stated I've actually listed all those 8 steps in my case study paper. However, I'm going to list them for you. Those 8 steps involved creating a sense of urgency, right, around the organization in order to begin the implementation of change. Number 2, you need to create a coalition, right? People who are going to understand, people are going to root for your ideas as a leader to implement the change. Number 3, develop a vision strategy. Developing a vision strategy is something that involves the tactful structuring of ideas, of roles, of duties, transformation or duties, improvement or reduction of each and every stakeholders of the organization, right? Number 4, it's important to communicate that vision effectively. Number 5, it is also important to empower your stakeholders, because once you empower your stakeholders to move forward with the vision strategy you have in place, it's not only your idea at this point anymore, it becomes the idea of the organization, becomes the identity of the organization, because everyone will want to fight for that vision. Number 6, get quick wins, meaning once everything has been decided, go on, tackle every single aspects of positive aspect of your idea, of your vision strategy, and implement it. And once it's implemented, highlight everything that is working. That way, everyone will get on board with the vision. Number 7, leverage win to drive change. So use those wins to really continue to motivate and empower everyone and show that what you're doing is actually working, right? So that's very important. Last but not least, embed the change into the culture of the organization. Once all the 7 steps have been followed properly, it becomes embedded in the culture of the organization at this point. I also talked about behavioral plan change or behavioral change plan. A behavioral change plan, I actually came across a UC Berkeley article. It's actually a toolkit for change management at UC Berkeley for their staff, and I thought it was great. It was actually great to go over that document quickly, but I did catch a very important something that was very important, which was a behavioral change plan. A behavioral change plan discusses about what success looks like, right? It tells us what success looks like once change has been implemented, and it helps us understand also how everyone is interacting with each other and interacting with the new culture, the new culture change around the organization following the management change that has been put in place, right? I want to say thank you for providing me with the opportunity to present this case study to you. I hope you find the information provided resourceful. And thanks again. Thank you for all the time and everything that you have done for this class. And wish you best of luck with your new publication. And all right, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much. Have a good one.